Today I'm going to fill my new watercolor palette. I made this out of polymer clay. I'm going to show you the colors I've chosen for this palette and a little bit about why I've chosen them. When I first made this palette, I took a lot of care choosing how many wells I would need to fill this thing based off of the colors I have. So I've made myself a map of where I want to put all of my colors. Originally, I wanted to leave the space black or blank and use it to mix my blacks, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these two colors down and put anthracnone blue here and leave my French ultramarine blue here. Jumping right into it, we have Zoisite Genuine. This is a fantastic granulating color. I love having it on my palette because it gives a lot of texture to anything it's mixed with. And I'll typically use it to make a color more earthy. I also really like this color because it is almost an exact copy of Perylene Green, except for it granulates. I'll show you here on the swatch. This is the Perylene, this is Zoisite. It's just really great. Perylene Green is up next. It is probably one of the best colors I have on my palette. It is a literal workhorse. It is so dark and mixes some of the most beautiful, rich, dark colors. How I found out about this color was through Denise Soden's In Liquid Color. She has a really great series on choosing watercolors and swatching them and comparing them, and it is fantastic stuff. When mixed with either of my quinacridone colors, it produces the best black colors. These next two colors I don't currently own, the first being anthracnone blue, which I've never owned, and French ultramarine blue, which I have run out of. Now, anthracnone blue I have been wanting to get for a super long time. It is a beautiful, rich, dark blue, and I think it would really round out my palette for mixing darks. Moving right along to the blue I actually have, this is Phthalo Blue Green shade. This is another primary of my palette, and it does so much for me. It's hard not to use this color in my work. Sliding right along into the blue-green side of my watercolor palette, this is turquoise green, or green turquoise. This is a granulating color by Sienna. I have a love-hate relationship with this color. It is beautiful, I absolutely love it, and it makes really fun mixes because it's granulating. However, I also wish it didn't granulate, because sometimes I just want this color to lay down smooth without the granulating effects. I'll also make a note here about how well Sienna colors re-wet compared to other watercolors. This, I believe, is because Sienna watercolors are bound with honey versus some of the other binders they have, and it just allows for the water to really get it going again. Next, we have Phthalo Green Blue shade. This color is pretty strong. It is primarily used on my palette for mixing more greens. It's also super vibrant and doesn't take a whole heck of a lot of paint to actually shift the color. If you mix it with any blues, you can get some very lovely turquoise colors. Overall, I don't think I could be without this green on my palette. Moving right along into my yellows, this is the standard lemon yellow. I had the Sienna version. It is a great yellow for mixing greens. I especially like it with phthalo green and green turquoise. With phthalo green, it makes kind of a copy of Permanent Green Light, which is a very beautiful color. And with green turquoise, it makes like a really nice granulating green. It holds its spot on my palette as a primary. Next yellow is Hansa Yellow Deep. I have 2 tubes of this. This one is almost empty, and I got this one because I needed to restock. You'll notice that the labels are different. They are in fact the same color. I have checked. This is another primary on my palette, and it is the only other yellow I have on my palette. I like to mix it with lemon yellow to make a nice mid-tone yellow, and it makes some of the most beautiful oranges. And when mixed with either my quinacridone coral or my quinacridone rose, it makes a really nice red color. And it also makes a lot of muted greens. Of my 2 yellows, I use this one probably the most. Moving right along, we have my Burnt Sienna by Winsor & Newton. Now this is not the same as a natural burnt sienna like this Da Vinci version. I chose this burnt sienna because it's made out of PR 101 as compared to a natural burnt sienna, which is PBR 7. The natural burnt siennas that I've tried have been very opaque and have quite a texture compared to the Winsor & Newton version. And that's why I ended up settling with the Winsor & Newton version, because I just liked that clarity and transparency and glow that it had. Also, this color makes some really fantastic neutral shades when mixed with blues. It also gives a lot of good earthy colors. It does dry kind of hard though, so I might try and find a different PR 101 that might hopefully re-wet better than this one. This next color is Pyro Red, and when I was looking for a red for my palette, I was looking for that fire engine red, that primary fiery red, and I ended up choosing this one that I could use as a primary. I don't currently use this color as much as I would like, and that's only because it is semi-opaque, and I can mix a fairly close match to this using my quinacridone colors. I find its best use is when mixing it to make earthy reds. This next color is quinacridone coral. This was an accidental purchase. Originally, when I was setting up my split primary palette, I was going to use the Pyro Red and the quinacridone rose, but I accidentally ordered quinacridone coral as well, and it was probably one of the best accidental buys I've ever done. I would consider this my warm primary red, and it glows, it's luminous, and it makes some of the best skies and lighting effects of all of my paints. Here you can see it compared to quinacridone rose and Pyro Red. You can see how much cooler rose really is compared to the other two. Overall, just a great color. And now for quinacridone rose. I really thought I would use this color a lot more than I actually do, but its primary use is mostly for mixing purples and some really nice dark shades, especially the neutral colors and browns. This color is fantastic. This is Potter's Pink. This is Winsor & Newton's Potter Pink, and that is for a specific reason. It is a very pink shade of Potter's Pink, and compared to other brands, and according to every single swatch that I've seen, it is the most pink Potter's Pink available. How many more times can I say pink? Anyways, I use this to make a lot of really earthy textures. It's a highly granulating color. It mixes amazingly with so many things to create so many great colors. I especially like it with Perylene Green. Next color up is another granulating earthy color. This is Violet Iron Oxide. This is a color I don't think I can do without. It's a lot more purple than the Potter's Pink, which even though Potter's Pink and this Violet Iron Oxide are kind of close to looking the same, they really do have different effects and looks when mixed with paints. One color I really like mixing it with is my turquoise green. It makes such a beautiful gray color, and I don't think I can do without this. Final color is dioxazine purple. This is one I need to restock and maybe even change the brand. I really like using this purple. It is such a true purpley purple, and it can make a lot of interesting colors, especially mixed with my greens. It also makes some lovely maroon colors and browns when mixed with my Hansa Yellow Deep. If you use dioxazine purple on your palette, please let me know which brand you use. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of French ultramarine in its spot, just so we know that that's where it's going to live. Now to add in my last color, which is Titanium White by Sienna. This is another color I'm going to have to rebuy pretty soon. I use quite a bit of it in my work, even though it is considered a controversial color. But even with it being controversial, I really like using it. I love the pastel colors that I can make with it, and I do like the effects it gives. And I'm nearly running out. I can't believe I'm gonna make it. I need to get me one of those fancy tube rollers I keep seeing online. And we did it. It is mostly filled. Once I get anthracnone blue, I'll fill that in and probably make another video for it. But we are not quite done yet, even though it's all filled and looking pretty snazzy. I have one last thing to do, and that's to prep this for a fresh painting.
I gotta fix that though. We're gonna fix that.
Now, on to the fun bit, which is actually using my watercolor palette for its intended use, to make watercolor paintings. I am prepping the palette for its first illustration, which is this one. I'll be showing a time-lapse or some form of video of that later on, but I chose this specific illustration because I knew I would have to use a whited out version of one of my primaries, and I really wanted to get a wide range of colors being used to really see how this palette would work for me. And I'm going to be honest, I really enjoyed using this palette to finish that illustration you saw. It provided me a huge amount of space, and I used it pretty well exactly how I thought I would use it. My little dividers worked brilliantly. The wells could have been deeper, but I think that's just going to be a learning curve. And overall, I'm excited to keep using this over and over again. It makes me really excited to want to sit down and paint. I'll see you next time.